Okay, I'll be discussing how to go this type of questions which can be found in your holiday homework. Now the question says, without using a calculator, find the exact value of cosine 60. Now what do they mean by without using a calculator? Now what they mean is they want you to show step-by-step working, okay? So when you say without using a calculator, it doesn't mean that you cannot use a calculator to help you to do some calculation. You can, okay? You can use a calculator to help you do some calculation, use a calculator to help you check, okay? But what they want is step-by-step working, all right? So let's say I give you this question cosine 60, you have to make sure that your mode is in degree. Okay, so my mode is in degrees, then I press cosine 60. I find that the answer is just half, okay? But in the exam they may not give you such a nice number, or if they give you such a nice number, then you still have to show a bit of working. Okay, so how do we show the working? Now, this type of questions is related to special angles. If you still remember, we learn special angles, right? So you have, let's say this is your hand, this is your middle finger, ring finger, and this is your pinky finger, right? So this is 0, 90 degrees, halfway is 45, between 45 and 90 is 60, and then between 0 and 45 is 30. Right, so these are the three special angles. Of course, these two, the answer you can easily get from the calculator. Okay, now how do we calculate cosine 60? Cosine 60 basically is just this finger, right? Okay, and remember the top fingers above the closed finger is for cosine. The bottom fingers below the closed finger is for sine. So C first, then S. Okay, so what you have here is square root. How many fingers just now? You want cosine, right? So it's these 3 fingers. Okay, no, sorry, this finger, this is cosine, this is sine. C first, then S. Okay, so it's square root 1 over 2. Alright, so the answer is half. Okay, now take note, whichever finger is closed, let's say this finger is closed, right? What comes first is cosine, or what comes on top of this finger is cosine. What goes below is sine. Meaning to say that cosine 60 is square root 1 finger, right? 1 finger over 2, and that will be half. Whereas sine 60 will be square root, the formula is that there are square root of the number of finger over 2. So how many fingers are there? 3, right? So it's square root 3 over 2. Okay, so that's how you use your fingers to help you solve this kind of questions. Now what about tangent 30? Now tangent, you know, it's sine over cosine. So tangent, the formula is square root the number of fingers divided by square root the number of fingers here. Okay, so if I were to do 30, this is 45, this is 30, right? I close this finger, is square root 1 over square root 3. Which gives me 1 over square root 3. Okay, so that's your answer. You can rationalize it and you will get let me revise certs a bit. Okay, this answer. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Now this is obviously not degrees. When you don't see the degree symbol, it is in radians. Okay, now I didn't discuss this in class, but probably you can use this to help you remember. You know, the way you write pi is one straight line, then you draw like that, then draw like that, right? Or if you look at your calculator pi, you see that it's one straight line, then one stroke, and then a curly stroke here, right? Okay, so maybe you can use this straight line at the top. to help you remember that this is straight line is 90 degrees, right? Sorry, straight line is 180, right? So this is 180 degrees, okay? Which means that pi radians is always equal to 180 degrees. And from here, we can actually see that when I take 180 divided by 3, is 60. So we actually want 60 degrees sine. Okay, so this is 60, right? And sine are the bottom fingers, so it's square root 3 divided by 2. And your answer will be that. That's all. Okay, next. Okay, this is we are entering another level already. Okay, the first 3 questions are very straightforward. In fact, you can immediately write the answer down. Write the answer down like that. Okay, and write the answer down. These answers are not the decimal answer. You cannot give the decimal answer because when you give the decimal answer, the examiner will know that you have used a calculator. Okay, so you must give the exact form. Oh, I forgot to mention just now, without using a calculator, right, most of the time also means your final answer must be exact. Okay, it cannot be like 3SF or 1DP. Alright, it must be an exact answer. Okay, now let's look at the next level of question. We have cosine 150. Now if you were to look at this hand method which I taught you, we only have 0, 30, 45, 60, 90, right? We don't have 150. So how do we do this kind of questions? Now it's more or less the same as the ADMAT that I taught you. Okay, if you remember the ADMAT, ADMAAD, right? Okay, but this ADMAT is actually very straightforward because you are already in the equivalent form. You have cosine something, right? Okay, the domain actually nothing one, nothing for this case. The mode you have to just take note lah. Okay, because you're not allowed to use calculator, right? So in this case, we just use our hands, okay, to help us get the answer. What I want to focus on is this one, ASTC and alpha. Okay, for this kind of question, right, we are just zooming in on this area. Okay, the alpha and the ASTC, or the ASTC and alpha, whichever comes first is up to you. Okay, so you take a look at this angle, cosine 150, and then you ask yourself, is it in the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, or fourth quadrant? Now 150 obviously is more than 90, right? This is 90, so it's not in the first quadrant, it is in the second quadrant. Now why do I say that we have to use ASTC for this? Can you see that 150 is actually 180 minus 30, which means that my alpha is 30. Okay, and if you remember your solving of equation, the ASTC, the cosine of this angle 150, okay, is actually related to the cosine of this angle. They are like exactly the same value here, only the sign is different, correct? And you see, cosine 30, sine 30, tangent 30, they are all positive here. That's why we put the A. This A means all the ratios are positive. Second quadrant, which is where 150 is, only sine is positive, right? Which means cosine 150 has to be negative of this cosine 30. That's why I put this minus cosine here. And I'm now going to use my hand method, okay, to find out what is cosine 30. The sine, I already established using the ASTC, right? Using ASTC, I established the sine already. Sine as in the whether positive or negative. I established that cosine is going to be negative in the second quadrant, right? Okay, so I put minus. Don't bother about the sign anymore. I just need to find out what this value is. That means I'm trying to find the alpha now. Okay, not alpha, sorry, the cosine of this alpha. Alright, so what is cosine of 30? 30 is this finger, right? Okay, 30 is this finger. Cosine are the number of fingers above this closed finger, right? Okay, so it's square root 3 over 2. So that's my answer. Okay, and the next one is sine 330. 330 I've drawn for you already. 9, 18, 27 cannot be here, cannot be here, cannot be here, right? It has to be in the final quadrant. And knowing your ASTC, you will know that your alpha is this, has to be 30 degrees, right? Okay, then ASTC, the last quadrant, only cosine is positive, right? Which means sine is negative. That's why I put this negative. So I established what the sine is first, and now my job is to find out what is sine of 30. Okay, sine of 30, actually you press calculator, you will be able to get the answer lah. But let's try to use our hand. 30, right, is here. So sine, this is cosine, right? Sine is here, so it's square root 1 over 2, which is half. Answer minus half, that's all. Okay, finally, we now go to part F. Okay, part F, if they give it to you in pi, right? Remember the pi is 180. So if I were to use calculator and press 4 pi over 3, hey, 4, not 4 pi over 3, sorry, 4 over 3, then times pi, which is 180, right? I will get 240. 240, 9, 18, 27, right? Okay, so it has to be in this quadrant. A, S, T, C. It has to be in this quadrant, starting from here. Okay, and of course, this straight line is 180, which means that this has to be now you see, because they give it to me in radian, right? I don't go and write degree here. Then in my working, I'll be writing degree, and it doesn't match, so I will work all in radians. Okay, so remember 180 is pi, right? This thing here is pi. Okay, so I think of it as this. You see, this 4 over 3, you think of it as separate from this pi. Okay, so isn't 4 over 3 1 and a 1/3? 1 and a 1/3 pi times pi, 1 and 1/3 times pi. So 1 times pi is 1 pi. Then 1/3 times pi is pi over 3. Or you can write 1/3 pi. It's up to you. Okay, but what I'm trying to tell you is that this 4 over 3 pi is made up of pi plus 1/3 pi, or pi over 3. Okay, so I am now going to write this basic angle in terms of radians, and from here I can tell that it's pi over 3. Okay, that was what I was trying to show you here. Okay, now that I know that it's pi over 3, and I know that pi is 180, right? 180 divided by 3 is 60, so it's here. Alright, and then I want tangent is sine over cosine, so it's square root 3 over square root 1. Final answer, square root 3. Okay, now I didn't show you just now, but remember I mentioned just now that although they say without using a calculator, right, you can actually use a calculator to check whether your answer is correct or not. So for example, this question F, I need to make sure that I am in the correct mode, that's radians. Okay, then I press tangent 4 over 3 pi. So it's 4, then pi over 3. Okay, then I press equal. You see, I get this answer, right? So this should be equal to this. Let me double check. So remember it's 1.7 whatever, right? Okay, so I'm going to square root 3. Do I get the same thing? Yeah, I get the same thing. That means that my working, everything is correct. Okay, if you don't believe, you can also use the calculator to check all your other answers. They should match your calculated answer. Okay, so for such questions, you should be able to check whether your answers are all correct. Okay.